ag-gag laws, the latest court decision out of Kansas, and the implications it could have for the ag sector. Cattle market reform. We head to Capitol Hill to learn more about legislation aiming to improve competition and transparency. And later, why producers may soon see new antibiotic restrictions for their cattle. And thanks for staying with us here on the Market Day Report, brought to you by Ariat. Good afternoon, I'm Janet Adkison. Well, the Senate Ag Committee is currently in session working on its latest version of the cattle market reform bill. The Supreme Court won't revive the ban on secretly filming at slaughterhouses. Moving on through the news here this morning, the Supreme Court won't revive the ban on secretly filming at slaughterhouses and other livestock facilities. A federal appeals court ruled the so-called ag-gag law violates the First Amendment. The case centered around a Kansas law that criminalized taking videos or pictures at an animal facility without the owner's consent. Well, the judges said even if deception is used to enter private property, Kansas won't discriminate based on whether the person has the intention to help or harm the enterprise. Well, Roger McEowen with the Washburn University School of Law joins us now for a deeper dive into the situation. And Roger, as always, thanks for your time here today. So what does the Supreme Court's decision here to not hear this case on the Kansas statute mean for the ag sector?
Well, Janet, it's certainly a blow in the attempt by states to protect confinement livestock facilities from those that would do them harm. So the sector is going to have to figure out ways to achieve what was anticipated that the legislation would provide.
Is there anything these facilities can do to protect themselves?
Well, certainly there are some common sense steps that should always be taken. And one, obviously, is don't mistreat animals. And ag generally does not do that. So that's going to be an easy one. But proper hiring practices, I think, are going to be absolutely critical. Have a well-drafted employment agreement, do background checks, detail the job requirements, detail what is not permitted, retain the right to search for recording devices, and then keep track of employees, monitor what they're doing. We're going to have to pay a lot closer attention to that and pay a lot more detail to how we hire people.
Now, is this an issue in other states outside of Kansas?
It is. There have been attempts to pass these statutes that have failed in 17 states, and some of those are pretty predominant ag states, such as Illinois and Indiana, and also Tennessee, where you're at. And ag-gag laws currently remain in effect in Montana, North Dakota, Missouri, Arkansas, and Alabama. So this is an issue, and some states still have them, and some states obviously do not.
So with this Supreme Court decision, does that have an impact on these other states, or is that something we're still waiting to see?
Well, they decided not to decide. So let's look at it that way. They said, we're not going to look at the Kansas statute. That doesn't mean we still don't have a discrepancy between the 8th and the 9th circuits. We do. For some reason, they didn't want to take the 10th circuit, and so they let the lower court decision that invalidated the Kansas law, which is the oldest one in the country, stand. So the Kansas statute is out. But there's still that discrepancy on the 8th circuit and the 9th circuit. So Iowa and Idaho, there's some discrepancy between those. Now, maybe they're wanting to take that. So I think all of this, what this says to me, all of this is that we're not done with this issue yet. And states may want to look at other ways to do this. Indiana has a trespass law that says when you come on, you're basically, we're going to classify you as a licensee. You're there for a particular purpose. You step outside of that purpose, and you've got to go. And videotaping would be outside the scope of employment, so that would be a fireable offense. That removes the First Amendment speech concerns out of it. That may be an approach that other states look at, too.
Roger, do you think it's going to go so far? Because we know that some of this video that has made the viral posting has been edited to the benefit of those who have gone onto these farms and made the recordings. Is it going to go so far that employers are going to have to put up video cameras and security cameras around their facilities just to protect themselves in that regard?
I think that's an excellent idea. It's going to have to happen that way. You know, we're going to have to keep track of what employees do, and one way you keep track of them is you put cameras up. It's unfortunate this has to happen, but there are groups out there that are absolutely dedicated to eliminating animal agriculture, and we've got to find the right way to do it within what the court says the Constitution will allow. And so if we can't do it by these statutes, which kind of looks the way that they're drafted, that the court doesn't like that, then we've got to use common sense steps. We have to be more aggressive in screening employees, and we have to monitor their conduct. And it's just It's sad to say that, but it's an unfortunate time that we're in right now with respect to this issue.
All right. Well, Roger, as always, thank you very much for your insight today. Roger McEowen, he's with the Washburn School of Law, connecting with us here this morning. We appreciate your time again, Roger.